John, I'm going to ask you a couple of questions from the room. One person's asking, are we overestimating Britain's competitive advantage without Europe? And a related question is about Canada. It's a question from Richard. With the Canadian free trade agreements nearly being frustrated by one EU member state's interests, how can we come up with a deal within the 2-year time frame?
Well, I think one of the problems we've got with trading with Europe is we do have an enormous deficit. It's running at about £60 billion a year, and this is because we just don't have the natural advantages, particularly on manufacturing, but to some extent also in other respects, to avoid this enormous deficit continuing. Now, will it get better post-Brexit? I think it may do. I think the fact the exchange rate's gone down should help to rebalance the accounts, the foreign payments accounts a bit. But I do think there's just an ongoing, continuing problem about the big balance of payments deficit we have with the European Union.
But in terms of getting to this, I mean, this is an important question, which is, if we want, I mean, there's two ways we can exit the EU. The first is we can have a temporary deal to prevent any cliff edge situation from developing, perhaps in financial services, perhaps in other areas. But eventually, one would want a free trade deal if we were to leave the single market and the customs union. And if the balloons can almost block this deal with Canada, how can we ensure that we can accelerate this deal?
Well, I think what I'd do is, first of all, to carve out the various different bits of the free trade option that we would like to have. Some are going to be much more difficult to achieve than others. A lot of it, the trade in industrial goods, the templates are all there, really moving it from within the single market to outside isn't terribly difficult, but then you have got these more difficult areas. Now, I would have thought the most sensible way ahead on this is to try and get the relatively easy bits dealt with within a 2-year period, but recognise that you may need transitional arrangements on some of the other ones. What we don't want to do is to have a cliff edge where suddenly we've got nowhere else to go, and this is why the World Trade Organization option has to be in the background. And I think if that's there, because that is so much worse for the European Union than a free trade deal, then I think that would be a big, big pressure point to push all the Wallonias of this world into agreeing.